Hey guys, it's Chris. From people who try and set crazy world records to those who try and show they have no fear and more. Join me as I reveal 10 people who do weird things. Number 10. Jisha. There are many things that people are afraid of in the world, but one thing that tends to be rather common in terms of fear is a fear of bees, mainly because people are afraid to get stung by them. But allow me to introduce you to Gisha, a woman who is so unafraid of bees that she's willing to let them swarm her face. But she wasn't doing this for madness' sake or even to get famous. She was trying to raise awareness of the importance of bees and the honey that they make. We consider honey as a preventative medicine, which can be consumed by all. If we consume honey daily, our bones and teeth will become stronger. All should grow at least one honeybee yard in each house, she notes. So, when asked why she decided to advocate for it, Jisha says that honeybees are essential for the environment, and that the extinction of bees could have an adverse effect on nature, which is very true, though we don't acknowledge it at times. Bees are critical to the pollination of plants all over the world, and should they die out, their loss would hurt crops, flowers, and food growing all over. So while it might be weird that she's putting bees on her face, you can't deny that the reasoning behind this is something you should pay attention to. Would you let a bunch of bees be on your face? Do you dare? I don't know if I would, but let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 9. Kusum Vati. When you're hungry and you want a snack, what foods or drinks do you usually turn to? Whatever your answer is, I guarantee you it's not what the elderly woman known as Kusum Vati eats when she's hungry, because she's developed a taste for sand and gravel. I've been eating sand and gravel for around 63 years now. I love eating them, and I don't think they have any harmful effects. I haven't suffered any problems in my stomach and mouth, and my teeth are absolutely fine. If anything, it's made them stronger. I can bite into the hardest stone without a problem. Her grandchildren kind of want her to stop, but she claims the minerals in the sand have kept her healthy. She said, "My grandchildren insist I get medical help to get rid of this addiction, but I see no need for it. I'm healthy and fit all thanks to sand, which is, or rather was, the secret to my well-being. I haven't seen a doctor for as long as I can remember. I felt perfectly fine. I feel as though the minerals in the sand give me the energy to work in the crop fields." On one hand, you can't deny the results. She's 80 and she's still alive and kicking and eating this stuff. But to be clear, don't try this yourself, because while it may have worked for her, that doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. Number 8. Paul Yarrow. I'm pretty confident in saying that all of you know what photobombing is, right? And for those of you who don't, it means appearing in a photo that you're not supposed to be in, while totally showing the camera that you're meaning to be there. It's usually done as a prank or a stunt, or maybe to tick people off, but a man from London named Paul Yarrow has turned it into an art form. Why? Because he has a very weird habit of showing up on British news by appearing behind interviewers, even though he shouldn't be there. And he just keeps showing up. It can be a political event, it could be a basic story at a convenience store or at an airport, and he'll keep finding a way to be behind the interviewer while the camera's rolling. According to him, he's been on live TV over 100 times, and it started because he was at a rally where a local TV reporter interviewed everyone but him, presumably because he wouldn't be good on camera. So Paul Yarrow made it his mission to always be on camera, even if the interviewer didn't want him to be. This is definitely a case of power to the people. Number 7. Margaret. Keeping on with the women who do weird things with bees, meet Margaret from Kentucky. She has a very curious relationship with bees that honestly edges on insanity. Because you see, while most people avoid being stung by bees, she intentionally does so every single day. "I sting myself on the hip, my elbows, on a finger, my ankle, my forehead, on the tip of my nose," she says. "The most I've ever been given myself was between 15 and 20 in my left hip. I really love stinging myself with bees." Now, before you call the loony bin on her, hold off for a moment. According to her, she started this for health reasons, as she felt this was helping her get through arthritis that she was having. But then she basically got addicted to it, and she's been stinging herself for physical pleasure ever since, which is pretty odd when you think about it, because most people would agree that such a thing does not really feel that good. Many bee activists have called her out for her behavior, as well as because, given that she's potentially stinging herself over 100 times a month, that means she's killing thousands of bees that she raises in her backyard just to get a kick. And that's wasteful and foolish, and yes, it's weird, but it's also kind of mean. Number 6. Kevin. Have you ever broken a bone or sprained a joint so badly that you needed a cast? If you have, you likely were thrilled the moment you got it off you, right? Well, then clearly you aren't Kevin, because when he was just 12 years old, he broke a bone and got a cast. And ever since that moment in his life, he's been addicted to casts. Yes, in a literal sense, he's addicted to not just having casts, but wearing them and decorating them in such a way that it really draws in the attention of people. He even went on a TLC show and admitted that what he'll do is give himself an arm or a leg cast, and he'll go into a place like a bar and start telling people wild stories about how he got the cast. And yet all of them are lies. He somehow had a girlfriend during this adventure, and she told him it's the cast or her. And I'm pretty sure he picked the cast, which is both weird and kinda sad. Because if you want attention, why not go and do something big or memorable? Faking it just to get attention from others is sometimes a true sign of an addict, and hopefully, all of you at home will fight before having something like this addiction happen to you. Number 5. Michael Carmichael. Michael Carmichael had an odd idea one day. He was gonna go and paint a baseball with a coat of regular paint. Nothing too odd about that, right? Except he kept doing this every day for over 34 years. He just kept adding a layer of paint to this ball, and as a result, the ball slowly began to grow, to the extent that it's so big now that it has to be held up by a special holster, and it's so big that it has the Guinness World Record for the largest ball of paint. He's put so many layers on it over the course of 34 years that he would write onto the layer he was about to cover a number so that he wouldn't forget what layer of paint he was on. It's such a big thing that it's become a tourist attraction in Alexandria, and he even allows people to sometimes help him put on a new coat of paint so it can get even bigger. This is most definitely a case of starting out small and growing something until you have something truly big and wondrous. Number 4. Joseph Toadling. The point of many world records is to prove you're the best at something, and yet there are records that are official and are set by real people that make you think, what were they thinking? The record of being pulled by a horse while on fire definitely fits that mold. And this record is just what you'd expect of it, given the name. Joseph Toadling from Austria, in this case, had to be dragged by a horse for a certain distance and have his body encased in flames so that he could earn the record. But it's a bit more complicated than you might think, because an ATV had to go alongside of him as he was being dragged and spray him with gasoline in order to make sure that the flames were alight the whole time. After all, a body being dragged along the ground could put out the flames. Joseph set the new record after being dragged 1,640.42 feet, and again, all while being on fire. He then set another record for doing the same thing while attached to a quad bike. So that's 2 records he set while on fire. Now, I do get wanting to set a world record, but this is something that maybe is a little too much, and definitely not something I'd want to try at home or really recommend that you try either. Number 3, Tamara Holland. Each of us has our own little quirks and loves that we tend to collect, whether it be statues or plushies of our favorite animal, memorabilia from our favorite movies or shows, and so on. It's natural to have a collection of something. But for Tamara Holland, she went and did a collection that was a bit festive. She decided to go and collect everything she could find that was gingerbread themed. And I'm not talking just like gingerbread cookie molds and the like, I'm talking anything that has a gingerbread man or is gingerbread related. She got it and put it in her house. Big, small, doesn't matter. She went and got as much as she could. And thus, she had over 800 of these gingerbread items. She got so obsessed with this notion that she went and redecorated her house to look like a real-life gingerbread house, minus the you can eat it part, obviously. Or maybe not obviously. Number 2, Derekance. When you were growing up, your parents probably told you to never eat raw meat, mainly because of how bad it was for you and how you could get really sick from it. But for a man named Derekance, it's honestly the opposite. You see, he has a condition that makes it so regular healthy foods don't give him the nutrition he needs to stay healthy. Then he learned of a diet that recommends you eat raw meat, certain organs from animals, and even drink blood to survive. And when he tried this, after trying many other diets beforehand to be clear, it worked for him. He was feeling better. Thus, every day he eats a variety of raw meat, drinks blood, and more just so he can stay healthy. What a world we live in. Number 1, Jenny Cox. We've all heard of people who have gone to extreme lengths to try and save money, but one of the weirdest ones of all is Jenny Cox, a woman so desperate to save money that she'll do literally crazy things to do so, like going to a sporting goods store to ride a bike that they have and get a workout. And she does that twice a week. She'll put bricks in her toilet to save water when she flushes. She'll use her pool to clean clothes as she puts chemicals in it that act like detergent and more. It is honestly kind of sad, and yet she says she's happy living that way. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these people who do some really weird things? Which ones do you think are the weirdest of the bunch? Would you do any of these yourself, or have you done any of these yourself? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and we'll see you next time on the channel.